that darn racket. I'm Laura Norton, and this is Nanner Puddin. Alright, so I have my ingredients measured. I'm going to show you how I'm going to separate my eggs. But I have 3/4 of a cup of sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla, 3 cups of milk, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, and a tablespoon of butter. And so I'm going to need 4 egg yolks for my pudding. So I have this handy dandy little egg separator. So what I enjoy about this is it comes out of the nose like snot, and it's a good time. So I'm just going to crack the egg and put it in my egg separator. And then I'm going to pour the white out into this bowl. So it's going to start to come out and look like snot, and it's gross. Might have to help it a little bit. Help it with this booger it's got here. My mom got me this for Christmas one year, and she thinks it's nasty, but I love it. So I just want to make sure that the yolk isn't breaking. If I can get this. There we go. Just help it out with that. That's so nasty. And so then I'm just going to pour my yolks in this separate bowl here that I'm going to use for later. And then I'm just going to continue that with my other 4 eggs. Alright, so you could save your egg white if you wanted to do a baked pudding. So this recipe is actually for a baked pudding. I do not like hot pudding. I think that's absolutely disgusting. And I think meringue like always pranks me into thinking like it's whipped cream, and I don't like that prank. I just don't like the concept of hot banana pudding. Like, to me, pudding is cold, and that's the way pudding was intended to be. So these I'm just going to throw out. I'm not going to save those for meringue. But if you did want to do hot pudding, if you're into that kind of thing, more power to you. You would save those for that. So equipment-wise for pudding, it's pretty simple. Besides your measuring equipment, you're just going to need a medium-sized saucepan. I'm going to use a ladle to temper my eggs in a little bit. And you're going to need a whisk. So with pudding, since it has both dairy and eggs, we're going to have to make sure that we stir it constantly so it doesn't burn at the bottom. So starting out, we're going to combine our sugar and the cornstarch. And then we're going to pour in our milk. I'm going to mix that together, and then I'm going to start heating that over medium heat. And so what's going to happen here is our cornstarch is going to start thickening our mixture. And this is going to start to kind of be the base of our pudding. So it's going to start to give it that thicker texture. And so I just want to make sure that I'm stirring this so that everything is mixed in. And so what I'm looking for is for this mixture to be thick and bubbly. So when you stir it up, you're going to kind of start to get some of that foamy bubble. I know it's kind of hard to see. But you want to let that settle, and basically you will, once you start stirring around, you'll find that the texture is going to be thicker than the consistency of milk, and so that's kind of when you know that you're in the right place. Alright, so I have this right over the saucepan so you can kind of see the consistency. I've kind of switched to my rubber spatula so you could see what's going on with that. But basically you want it to be kind of getting into this consistency where it's going to start kind of coating the spoon. So you want to make sure that you scrape all the way around the sides of the saucepan, and with a rubber spatula you can really get this done better. Get this done better. Yeah, there you go. So I also want to make sure that I'm scraping across the bottom of my saucepan, and also with me having a metal whisk, that runs the risk of scratching the bottom of my pan, so I don't want any chemical and physical contaminants going on in here. So I'm just going to scrape across the bottom and just make sure I don't have anything sticking or burning. And then I'm going to get ready to temper my eggs. Alright, so to get my eggs ready, I'm going to beat my egg yolks together. So I can just use a fork to do that, or I can use my whisk. Either one's fine. So I just want to break up the yolks. And so with this process, in the grains notes that you had with starches and thickeners, we talked about the importance, let me make sure this isn't burning, the importance of how you mix your starch in with your other hot ingredients. And so basically, since eggs are very temperature sensitive, we don't want those eggs to scramble once they hit the pudding. So I want to take part of this hot mixture out. So I'm just going to cut that burner off for a second. I want to take part of the hot mixture out and mix it with the eggs so that I mix this and it remains a liquid. It doesn't turn into scrambled eggs. So you're going to take approximately a cup of the hot mixture out. I'm just going to use the ladle because it's just going to be easier to transfer. This like pretty standard size ladle that I have is about half of a cup for each one. This is not something that has to be perfectly exact. I just want to get something kind of about a cup. So you could use a dry measuring cup if you wanted to, just kind of as a scoop for this, or you could dip a liquid measuring cup into that. But that's really all I want to do with that transfer, just approximately a cup. So I'm going to stir this together until it's combined into one liquid. And just make sure that that's good and mixed in. And then I'm going to return it all back to this saucepan. And so the eggs are in here to add as kind of a secondary level or layer of thickening beyond what the cornstarch is already doing in that mixture. So we have our dairy, we have egg, and we also have a grain product in here that's serving as part of our pudding, the base of our pudding, and helping to thicken that mixture. So once I have this in here, I am going to put that back on my burner. I'm going to put this back on medium. I'm going to go a little bit toward the low side, and then I'm going to continue to stir this until it reaches a gentle boil. So this part right here is kind of like that first step is going to be a little bit of time consuming, and it's going to be important that I continue to scrape down the sides of the bowl, and I make sure that I'm scraping across the bottom of my saucepan so that my pudding doesn't burn. If you start to see chunks of like caramel colored or light brown pieces that start to come up, that means that your pudding is burning. So you can still save that. You can still eat it with those pieces in there. It's just going to not be very appetizing to the eye or appealing to the eye. But you can also strain those out. Use a colander to try to get some of those out, or a slotted spoon if you catch it early enough. You just want to, if you see that happening at this point, remove it from the heat and then try to stop that process. So we want to try to get rid of that. If that involves maybe having to transfer this to another saucepan because you have particles that have burned to the bottom of the pan, that's going to be the best way to kind of salvage your pudding at that point. So I'm going to continue to let this thicken, and I'm just going to stir this or try to keep it moving until it reaches kind of a gentle boil. And so the gentle boil, I just want some bubbles kind of consistently coming up. I don't want that rapid boil as if I were boiling pasta, but just something consistent, gentle, kind of foaming boil. Almost like if you're boiling something kind of right after it starts to simmer and those bubbles start to come up to the top and break. That's kind of what I'm looking for. So here I have, you can see the bubbles that are starting to pop up here in my pudding. Got to be careful, it's going to splatter me. So that's kind of the point I want this to get to. That's how I know it's getting hot enough. And so after I have it to this point, I'm going to reduce my heat down to low, and I'm going to cook this for about 2 more minutes. Alexa, start a timer for 2 minutes.
2 minutes, starting now.
And so at this step, I want to make sure that I am constantly stirring it because this is a point where, again, it's going to be very sensitive to burning. Alright, so my timer is done, so I'm starting to see kind of that thicker pudding consistency. And so at this point, I am going to remove this from the heat, so I'll cut my heat off. I'm going to remove that, and then I'm going to add in my other ingredients. It took me to the end of the video to realize I should have probably just been using this burner the whole time. So at this point, while it's still warm, I want to add in my tablespoon of butter and my teaspoon of vanilla. My butter's wanting to be difficult. So I just want to stir that in until that's melted. And so this is the point where I'm adding in my flavoring. So if I wanted to change the flavor of this pudding, I basically had made a base of just plain pudding. I could have added in cocoa powder if I wanted chocolate, another type of extract if I wanted to add in that extra flavoring. So if I wanted this to be more of a banana flavor, I could add in some banana flavoring to change the flavor of the pudding. But I'm just going to use a base of vanilla pudding for this. So I'm just going to make sure that that is good and stirred in. I have scraped all the sides of my saucepan down so I get all that pudding in here. And then I'm going to let this cool down a little bit more, and then I'm going to get ready to put that in my bowl. So here I have my mixture that's cooled down a little bit, and I am ready to transfer that to my mixing bowl. After I get it in the mixing bowl, I'll allow it to cool a little bit more before I put the plastic wrap on it and put it in the refrigerator. So here you just want to make sure that you are scraping all of that good pudding out of that saucepan to get that into your bowl to cool. Alright, so it's cooled down a little bit more, and I'm going to get ready to put my plastic wrap over it. So the thing that's different about this is normally if I'm putting something in the refrigerator, I'm going to cover the top of it. With a pudding, I don't want the skin to form on top of it. So that's kind of that little scabby layer that I talked about in my dairy videos that would happen to the cheese dip you would get at the Mexican restaurant. So I'm going to put this so that it sits right on top of the pudding, and that way as this cools, it's not going to form that skin layer. So this keeps the surface kind of broken up so it doesn't stay still completely, and it won't form that kind of skin layer. If you do have that to form, you can just scrape that off the top and still use the pudding that's underneath it. Like I mentioned before, it's not anything bad. It's not anything that's going to hurt you. It's just some coagulated proteins. So I'm just going to do another layer over the top. And I hate plastic wrap because it never wants to stick to anything when I need it to. And then I'm going to allow that to cool in the refrigerator overnight. And then I'm going to put the pudding together once that's cooled. Alright, so we have all of our stuff set up to layer our banana pudding. The pudding is set up. Got it out of the refrigerator this morning. I also have my bananas and my whipped cream and vanilla wafers, and so we're ready to start layering this. So there's really no wrong or right way to layer. If you had a clear dish, then sometimes people will put things around the side in order to kind of make it look a little bit more appealing. So I like to start with a cookie layer and kind of make it almost like a crust at the bottom. So I have my vanilla wafers and my bananas layered. I've saved some of my banana to put in with the pudding. I like to use bananas that are a little overripe so that it puts more of the banana flavor into your pudding. So I'm going to spoon my pudding out on top of this and smooth that out. So I'm going to put a few more of the bananas and kind of push those down into the pudding. And so that way, if you allow it to sit in the refrigerator another day, which this is going to get delivered to my friend Loretta today, but if you allow it to sit in the refrigerator another day, it kind of lets that banana flavor seep out into the pudding. Kind of amps up your flavor profile a little bit. Now I have my homemade whipped cream, and so I'm just going to kind of put this out on top in some dollops and then smooth that out. You can also, there are some recipes that You can mix the whipped cream in with the pudding and kind of give it a little bit more volume and creaminess if you don't want that just by itself. I love homemade whipped cream, and I kind of think it just almost like seals off the pudding, so I like to put that right on top. Alright, so I have my whipped cream spread out, so I'm just going to add in some more vanilla wafers on top. You can also crumble the vanilla wafers and kind of do like a little crumb garnish on top. I'm just going to put a few in here and kind of tap them down into the whipped cream. And we're finished. So I can add a few more vanilla wafers if I want to. I have a few more in the bag. But pretty much beyond this, it's done. So after you have it layered, you just want to make sure to get it in the refrigerator until you eat it, or it gets to the person who's going to get this delicioso banana pudding. Oh, we're heading to Mama's house. Got Loretta's banana pudding in the car here. Got it strapped in so it don't slide around, okay? She's in the hospital and they done let her out, so the church we got together, we fixing her some meals. So I'm gonna drop this off at Mama's house. I about darn forgot to drive this Rona. I don't ever get out the house. We're gonna see what everybody's up to, cause I just don't spend a lot of time out. You know what we ain't got to talk about? Darn Tiger King. If you've been watching Tiger King, have you been watching it? That beat all I ever seen. Beat all I ever seen. And the darn craziest thing about it ain't the two husbands. That ain't even the craziest thing. And I swear, if you done think that Carol didn't kill her husband, then just quit watching my videos. Unsubscribe, okay? Unsubscribe. I'm over it. Oh, darn. Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? It's my cousins. They in there, quarantine. We gonna see. Darn, somebody done adopted this road. Well, good, they can pick up all that trash. Somebody dropped their garbage out there on the train bridge, busted it all everywhere. Just baby diapers and just junk everywhere, all over Mama's road. Hey, how y'all doing? Hey. Okay. Everybody's out in their yard just waving and carrying on. Everybody's just happy to be outside. It's a little cold today, but it ain't too bad. I got my jacket out of the closet. I found me this romper. I got this romper on here. All the kids is wearing the rompers. That's the in thing for the summertime, is the romper. It's like if you don't know what a romper is, it's shorts in a shirt all together, but it's a real fiasco when you got to go to the bathroom. Let's see what Mama's doing. Hey, y'all. Mama's neighbors, they out there in the yard. Oh, Lord, don't let me sling this nanner pudding everywhere. I done worked on it for 2 days. We gonna see what's going on over here at Mama's house. She's all probably in a germaphobe. That's why I brought my Lysol, spray myself down. I ain't been nowhere, but she's gonna think I got it. She's gonna think I got the Rona. Lord, she's done doing laundry out here. Got sheets hung up. Oh, bless. Let's see what Mama's doing. Mama! Get out here and get this nanner pudding for Loretta. I got it in the car. Mama! I need you to get out here and get this nanner pudding. Get this nanner pudding, okay? You just walk through this first before you get up here to the car. Don't breathe on me. I got it plugged in the car here. Here it is. Take it to her. There you go.
Here, just let me have this.
Okay, be careful now. It's heavy. Support the bottom. All right, have a blessed day. Tell Daddy I said hey. All right, bye now. Well, I came out here to wave at the cars on the road, but apparently they're really taking this stay-at-home thing to heart. Because I only saw one car so far driving down my road. But I'm going to keep my eyes peeled. Get it? Nanner.